Hi ladies, so I'm finally back. No introduction, we're getting straight to it. Level 2. Do you have the right target? That's level 2. Because having the right target is the most important thing. Not every guy is going to give you what you want. This is obvious. I'm going to quickly just go over the obvious things and then I'll go over the less obvious things that I haven't touched up on. But obviously, the most obvious thing is that looks shouldn't matter. Anything that's like their physical attractiveness shouldn't matter. Like how he looks, how tall he is, how muscular he is, that shouldn't matter. Okay? You have to be realistic on your expectations because obviously, if you're looking for a guy who's 7 feet tall, muscular, and handsome, a lot of girls will want him. And it really just depends on the kind of lifestyle you want and what you're okay and not okay with. Because me personally, there's no way I'm gonna be with a guy who has so many women that want him. Like I don't have the energy for it. I like waking up every day knowing what he does, living that normal lifestyle and that's it. You get what I mean? And obviously if he has money, he's still going to get women regardless if he's ugly. But like listen, if you're already going for a guy with money and on top of that you're adding looks and being fit and height, that like I can't. Like I'm telling you it's such a pain. It's not even worth pursuing. You're just gonna be dealing with drama all the time, and I don't know why you would even need that in your life. So yeah, the less bigger you are, the easier your life is gonna be. Um, Also, job wise, that's really important because some jobs sound good, but they really don't make that much money. For example, where I'm from, being a doctor, if you just became a doctor, you're not gonna make a lot of money. You'll have to have a lot of years of experience to get to the point where you're making a good money, and it also depends on what position you are because some positions as a doctor aren't earning as much. So try to be careful. Like just because the job sounds good and you see on Google that the job makes money does not mean that it makes money. Okay. Even if I search up right now on Google where I live, how much a paralegal makes, paralegals here make a lot. But every law firm will pay them differently. I know some that literally only get just a bit above of minimum wage. So again, just because he has a job that sounds good, it's not a guarantee that he makes good money. Like some jobs you know that they will make good money. Like if he's like, into high tech and engineering and lawyer, all that stuff like that, has his own business. You never know. With business, you never know. That's also risky. But in general, try to be careful. And also, like, take a look. Like, where does he live? With who does he live? And the best target are people who come from a family that's rich. You know what I mean? If he's already rich and he has a family that's rich, that's like there's nothing better than generational wealth. Like if that's honestly in my opinion the best thing. When the parents have like their when they make good money. That's listen, most people that I know who come with the type of lifestyle that most of you guys want, it's because his family had money. So that's another thing to keep in mind. So another thing that I want to add is obviously it's important to see if he's cheap or if he's generous, but I want you to understand just because a guy is generous doesn't mean that he has money. Like there's so many men out there who will go out on dates with you and they're on a minus, okay? They're on huge debt and rental cars that aren't even theirs. So it's another thing to keep in mind. Don't be just easily impressed when you go out on a date with a guy. Try to be smart because I've heard of men who even borrow cars from their friends just so they can impress a girl. And then it's just sad. It's sad. In my opinion, I think a guy should just be himself, and if he's poor, someone will eventually accept him. And if he doesn't like the women that accept him, he should go become rich. I mean, that's the thing, is like any guy can be rich, right? Not any girl can be beautiful. I mean, unless she has money to have some plastic surgery, but that's the whole point, is that there's no excuse to be poor. So the next thing I want to add is, and look, you don't have to do this, don't feel attacked, and if you do this, like, don't cry after with the consequences that come with it. But the next one is to not brag and tell people how you're getting spoiled. Like, I constantly see people posting stories and pictures of them being spoiled and then showing their man's face. And listen, other women want what you have. Like, obviously, if you're being spoiled, they want it. If you're being taken out for vacations, they want it. You know, if you're married or you're in a happy relationship, they want it. You know, as much as women say they don't care about being spoiled, yada yada, you know other women and you know that deep down they want what you have, especially if you're happy. And you'll be surprised with how much women are willing to go out of their way to find a way to get to your man. You know what I mean? Like, maybe it didn't happen now, but it will happen later. And in my opinion, if you're being spoiled and you're happy, keep that to yourself. Like, actually go and enjoy life. And I know that it's tempting to show off to people and telling, like, you know, basically showing the world, like, oh, look at me, I'm so lucky. But the consequences that come with it later is not worth it. I'll tell you, like, a story about me is that I had a man like that who did everything. And there's this girl who they were best friends, but she friend-zoned him for, like, years, okay? And once I got with him, she obviously, she saw everything. She saw that he was spoiling me. We were going out everywhere. And of course I bragged about it too because we had the same group of friends, so she had ended up being there. And listen, like, once I ended things with him, because we had a small little fight, I ended up seeing her at a bar, and I remember she came up to me and talked to me and asked me how we were, and I told her that we ended things. And I'm telling you, on that same day, as soon as she left, she messaged him and they just became together. Listen, they're still together to this day from what I think. I don't know. But that's how it is. Like, you know, even if a girl doesn't want him, once she sees that he's making another woman happy, she's gonna want it. So, you know, just be careful. Like, you'll be surprised. Even your own friends, they're your friends today, they can just turn their backs on you tomorrow. And it's not me trying to say, oh, you can't trust him and yada yada. It's the consequences aren't worth it. You know, at the end of the day, like, if someone else does take your man because of the fact that you're doing this, you're gonna sit back and you're gonna be like, I shouldn't have done that. So it's better to just avoid it as much as possible and just enjoy your life. And another thing I want you to consider is, what are your expectations? I mean, you need to have a goal and decide what kind of lifestyle it is that you want. There are people who go from simple, which is you just want a house, you want a family, and you just want him to be financially stable. You don't want to struggle with money, but you don't care too much about him having sports cars, materialistic stuff. You just want like a lifestyle where you guys aren't fighting about money. It's financially stable, basically. And then there's people who want more of a villa, private jet, you know, all that stuff, which is not as realistic. It is possible, but it's not as realistic because that is harder to get. That is harder to keep as well. So I'm not trying to say, you know, you have to go for the simple life. I'm also not saying that you have to go for the non-realistic one. I'm just saying be careful with the kind of expectations you have, because obviously if you want like a villa and a private jet, you should already know that it's not that easy. Like, you should know that, yes, you can get on a private jet, no problem, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to take other women on it. And to keep a guy who already has all those things, to be faithful to you, if that's what you want, is also hard. So make sure that you know the kind of person you are, you know what expectations you have from a man, and whether that kind of man will actually give you that kind of lifestyle. And of course, I couldn't be doing this video without talking about the importance of having a roster. Listen, I will say this every single day. Dating other people is extremely, 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 extremely important, okay? Look, you always have to put yourself in a position where you can easily replace him if he does wrong, if he shows red flags, if you know that it is time to go. Obviously, it's also important to know when you can like fight with him about something and when to leave him, because some things you get mad at and emotional and they're just small little things that can easily be fixed, and it's not worth starting a fight. And obviously you're going to be dealing with some guys who show major red flags, and you need to know when to leave, okay? But always make sure that you have a roster. Obviously, Some guys are actually, look, it depends on your age. Listen, I mean, I know that a lot of times I say like dating students is bad and you should be with a guy who already has everything, but it really depends on your age because listen, I have some people on here who are like 18, early 20s. Having a guy who's a student but comes from a rich family, I see nothing wrong with that. Like, it's still a potential, but I don't think that you should be dating only him. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And I want to add in, I remember I had this conversation with someone, I can't remember who, but it was about moving in with a guy before marriage. Look, in my opinion, best to avoid moving in. But listen, this is a complicated topic because I don't know who you are. I don't know where you are financially, what you have, what you don't have. I mean, if you need to understand, like, I can give you the proper advice without knowing who you are, where you come from, you know, what it is that you want, and where you are financially. Because technically, sometimes moving in with someone can benefit you, and you should only do things that will benefit you. Um, like someone that I know specifically, she doesn't have her parents in her life. She's a student and she does literally everything herself, and she wasn't well financially, but she met a guy who she did end up moving in, and they did actually end up getting married. So things can turn around and, you know, become your way, but in my opinion, it's always best to do things on your own. Unless you for sure know that you're struggling and this is the situation that will benefit you, just understand that it comes with consequences, because once you move in with someone, it's hard to keep, like, if you keep a roster, you're basically cheating. And I mean, I don't care if you cheat or not, but that's just, it gets a little messy there, and it will come with too much consequences. It's always better to stay on the safe side. And that's just my little reminder to you, okay? Women always have to chase what upgrades their life. Now, I'm not saying that you should chase a man, but definitely present yourself to him so he can at least make the move and chase after your goals. Let's also talk about, and this is still on the topic of choosing the right target. I'm just trying to tell you things to avoid, things to look for. So obviously, like we always say, never trust a man based on his words. It's always about the actions. I have a friend, for example. This is a great story. I have a friend who, she's a bigger woman, and her man tries to tell her that he likes bigger women and that's what he's into. Now, if you look at his Instagram, he doesn't follow any big women, okay? He's literally, his whole Instagram are models who are fit with plastic surgery. Like, they will tell you anything that makes it sound good, and it's sad. It's really sad. And, you know, I just think that if he really liked bigger women, there's plenty of plus sized and curvy women who are gorgeous that he could have followed, but none of them are on there. So it just shows you that he just tells her things that she wants to hear. It's like the same thing when guys tell you, oh, I like natural women and women shouldn't do plastic surgery. But as soon as a woman passes by and she has a fake butt or fake boobs, he automatically looks and stares down her soul and starts fantasizing about her. So, you know, like these they'll just tell you everything that makes them sound like the good guy, and it's just sad. But that's just how it is, so don't ever trust what they say. And then I guess another thing we can add on is the fact that, and we all know this, men don't like to be simps. I mean, I love simps, but apparently a lot of them don't like to be them. So you always have to convince them they come with good intentions. And again, it all depends on your target and who you're dealing with, because some guys are like those super nice guys that you'll see the women that are usually around them are the ones that are more mean and demanding because they know they can get away with it. And those guys put up with it. So it really just depends on your target, because some guys don't put up with that behavior. So if he seems like the type who doesn't put up with that behavior, you need to make it seem like you have good intentions. If he looks like the type of guy that will put up with that behavior, that's when you can be more straightforward. You need to just know who your target is and how he's going to handle, you know, you trying to get money out of him or you trying to get something out of him. But yeah, most of them don't like to be asked for money. So usually, again, depending on your target, sometimes you do have to present a problem and let him just offer it himself. And another thing is, obviously, and I mention this all the time, is to avoid sex as much as possible. If, let's say, and listen, a lot of girls complain to me and say, well, eventually he's going to bring it up and eventually he's going to complain. They're all going to complain. And even while they're with you, they're still going to go and sleep with someone on the side. and you just won't know about it. And again, it shouldn't matter to you as long as you're not like in a committed, I don't believe in relationships, but in a committed whatever it is that you guys have, marriage, in my opinion. But let's say you have a relationship, it's still wrong. So if he does start complaining about it and starts saying, I don't feel like you're sexually attracted, yada yada, you tell him, you look at him, and you tell him, basically you need to make it sound like you do want to be with him, you do want to sleep with him, but you're just not ready. And you just tell him, like, listen, I do really care about you and I do really want to, and you have no idea how much it's killing me on the inside, but I'm not ready yet, and I just need more time. As long as he thinks that it's going to be around the corner, he's going to stick around, especially if you already made him invest and spend his energy and time on you. He's going to wait. Like, he just wants to have that belief that you are sexually attracted, and he will eventually get it. So you just have to make it seem like you don't complain to him and get mad at him and be like, how dare you not wait for me. Understand that they're men and they'll do whatever they can to manipulate you, make you feel bad, to get it out of you. You tell him, I really want to, but I just can't, I'm not ready yet, but it's killing me on the inside. You know what I mean? Like, make it a little more dramatic, and he'll feel better, at least. In my opinion, this good girl image always wins. Like, you can easily be one of those people who say, your money goes to charity and your money goes towards, helping your grandma or mother. Even dressing like that sexy, classy style always wins with men. And like, for example, Marilyn Monroe is literally an amazing example of what a woman who is sexy and innocent is at the same time. Like, her voice, the way she dresses, the way she walks, the way she talks. Just in general, her persona is that sexy, classy with innocence in it. So I think that's the best thing. And, also another thing I guess I should also add is, and this is obvious, like, obviously don't approach them, let them approach you. Like, remember, men do a lot for good looking women. If they see a woman they want, especially in my country, they'll break their neck. Even if you don't speak the same language, they will find a way to communicate with you and get you. Like, that's just how it is. If they're not approaching you, do not make the first move ever. And the next thing I want to add, and this is something I say multiple times, is that it's so important for a guy to spend money on you. Look, if he doesn't, you're easier to leave, no matter what. Like, it doesn't matter how much money you put on yourself, you spent on yourself, or how much you work out and do everything yourself. And I said this before, as soon as a girl walks by with fake boobs, fake butt, that her sugar daddy paid for, he's gonna look at her. That guy who's being cheap with you, doesn't spend money on you, he's looking at the girl who's being taken care of by a sugar daddy, and he's fantasizing about her. I mean, men constantly tell me as well that they have this, okay, I don't know exactly how to explain this, but they have this like photographic memory of women that they see, and sometimes they just randomly pop up in their head, like, out of nowhere. So yeah, like, all those women they randomly see on like Instagram or even in person that they didn't even communicate with, these women will just randomly apparently pop out on their head. And men tell me this like all the time, that they have this thing. It's super weird. I didn't even know this, honestly, but they like variety. It's just how it is. They like fake and they pretend like they don't. And they know what women want. They know what they're supposed to do. They know they're supposed to be romantic and take a woman out. They know women like gifts and dinners. They'll still convince you. They'll try to convince you and brainwash you that what you're asking for is too much. Every date that you go on, the man has to pay. I don't care. Like, look, I've read about a lot of women talking about this, saying, oh, sometimes, like, after a few dates, you should pay and for something small. I don't agree. Even if it's just, like, you buying a drink or whatever, don't agree. Like, you don't have to pay for anything. Anything. It's just stupid. Like, yes, whatever, if you guys kind of walked everywhere. Look, if you're gonna pay for something because you feel like you want to, you can, but don't ask him if he wants it. You literally go and buy it. Let's say you guys are walking around somewhere, you went and bought you guys some bottle of water, whatever, you bought 2 bottles of water for him and for you. Don't ask him, just go buy it and bring it. It's something small, it's not a big deal. But don't be sitting in a date and then saying, okay, this time I'll pay, or thinking, okay, I'm gonna go through 5 dates and then pay, and then another 5 dates and then pay, because he's gonna get used to it. Like, there's a huge chance that he's gonna get used to it. He's gonna start expecting it from you. So don't ever, ever, ever offer to pay. If you're gonna pay, just pay and bring it over to him. Like, I just don't agree that you have to buy gifts and pay to show or prove yourself. I personally don't do it. These men will talk to other women anyway. They're on Tinder anyway, talking to other women even while they're with you. So I'm just going to make you pay fully. I don't care. Unless you're like 100% faithful to me. That's the only way I'm going to buy you small little things here and there whenever I feel like it. And I'm still not going to ask you if you want me to buy it. I'll just buy it and that's it. You get what I mean? But I don't agree with the fact that you have to pay for a guy ever. Yeah, and listen, I've never paid for guys, and they still didn't think that I was a gold digger or using them. Like, it's just dumb. Now let's talk about basically how you get money out of him, get things out of him. Look, some things that you request, they're gonna say no to because they feel used, and this is gonna be a common thing that you're gonna get into, because this whole movement of other men teaching them don't be simps and don't do this and don't do that. I remember this one girl I talked to not long ago, and she asked me, like, she wanted new lingerie, and she obviously wanted her man to pay for it, because she's like, well, what am I wearing for? Like, I'm wearing it for him, so he should pay for it. And she said that he said no to her. Look, in my opinion, what I would have done is I would have just used it against him. You know, that's what I said, and this is just my opinion. I would have said, listen, babe, the reason why I want new lingerie is because this lingerie that I'm wearing is my ex bought it for me. And when I look at it, it reminds me of him, and it feels disgusting that I'm sleeping with you and I'm wearing the things that my ex bought me. It makes me think of him, and I just want to enjoy you. You know, you guilt him a little bit, and then be like, and then you tell him calmly, you know what, I understand, and you don't have to, and I won't ask you to do it again. Like, I won't ask anything from you. That's what you should say, because you are gonna ask for it again. I mean, it's adding in there a little bit of a guilt trip, making him a little bit jealous, and then getting what you want. Now, from what I understood, the reason why he said no is because she constantly is asking for like new heels, new clothes, and now she wanted new lingerie, and I guess he got to the point where maybe he feels used. So that's one trick. So right now I'm going over level 3, and this is going to be basics on little tricks to use to get what you want out of him. And listen, like, this is 101 basics. Like, this is a list that you should already know by now, and if you don't, then you need to. And then hopefully in my next video I can start getting more about like the serious things, where getting him to invest in a house, what to do with the prenups or marriage, yada yada. But right now we need to get away with the basics first, so here's the list. Okay, so we got the car broke down one, and now you can't go to work. That's the explanation. This is enough to make him feel like a hero, especially if he's gonna help you with this one. Phone trick, you've been calling him, all of a sudden it starts cutting off, and then it doesn't work at all. Another trick. Laptop one, you're a student, you need a laptop. Without the laptop, you can't study. That broke down too. Or, I don't know, textbooks, lost it. Little things like that are amazing. Gym equipment, for example. I remember I used this one. This was during the corona. There were these 2 guys that I liked, but I didn't want anything serious with them. I just kind of wanted them to stay around but not talk to them, and this kind of pissed them off. So I remember my excuse was, what did I say exactly? I basically said something like, the gym's closed down and now it's really hard for me to work out. I'm starting to gain weight. I don't feel good. This got me gym equipment. So that's another one. Another one could be your friend got something and you wanted to, so you can easily show your friend sending you a picture of a dress that you want. And then say that, her boyfriend got it for her and how you wanted to. This usually works. Giving ads on his phone is an amazing one. There's this ring that you really want, and while he's gone, you take his phone, say that ring multiple times, and then once he opens the phone, he'll start seeing that ring that you want. What else do I have here? Listen, and this I mentioned before, the good girl thing, where you donate to charity and take care of grandma or mom, whatever you want. This is a great thing, because when you present all these problems that you're trying to get him to take care of financially, you don't want it to seem like you're in a position where you don't have money and you don't know how to handle your money. You have to make it look like you do, and you're trying to invest it in things that are more important, which is, in your opinion, charity and, of course, family. When you already show that you do have money, but you're trying to invest, like you're putting it into things that are important, it makes him feel better about helping you. It doesn't make him feel as used. What do I have? The going to the mall trick. There's a dress that you really want. You know that it already looks good on you. You go there, you put on that dress, you show it off to him, and you act all happy. Like, look how beautiful I look in this. Oh, isn't this so pretty? Get the compliments from him. And then, eventually, you start telling, your face kind of drops. Maybe, actually, you know what? Before the face drops, you tell him how beautiful it would be if you would wear it on a date with him, and everyone would turn their heads and look at you. And then your face drops, and then you start saying, you start getting a little sad, and you start looking at it, and you're like, well, I guess I'll have to buy it, when I get paid next time. He should already be offering you something, because not only that, he's going to look at you, he's going to be like, wow, look at her, she was so happy. On top of that, she wants to wear it for me on a date. And guys usually like to spend things on themselves more and things that benefit them. So in general, this is another way of making him think that he's spending it on himself. That's why it's so much easier for guys to spend more money on lingerie, because it's mostly for themselves. It's like they get to see you in that in bed. The breast implants. Listen, this one's a hard one, and you have to make sure that he actually makes enough money to get this one. But the breast implants one is nice, especially if you guys are more serious, like especially if it's marriage. It's a lot easier to get. Like, you can easily just like Photoshop yourself on another woman. On a woman that maybe has like a similar body type as you, and have like those fake, breasts, and then be like, oh, look, this could be me, and this could be what you wake up to every day. Listen, when it comes to sexual things, you can easily convince a guy to spend money on it, especially if he has it. If he has the money, he'll most likely, for his wife especially, he'll spend it for breast implants. And lingerie is a simple one. You can even get that from like a boyfriend who's even like middle class. Another one could be, taking him to the strip club and letting him see like the other women's, thingies. And, when he sees other women's breasts, and it depends on you if you're okay with it, but you can get him to like, just see that and be like, oh babe, I could have that too. And listen, these strippers will also help you, get that breast implant. They're like, oh, it's not that much, it's actually great, yada yada. And try to get him to fantasize about you having those, and making it's basically convincing him to get you that too. It's not that hard. You can easily get it. Another thing that I did was, and I'm sorry, I'm going super fast. This video is just getting super, super long, and I want to get everything into one video. But another thing could be like culture. I remember when I moved to a different country and I had a boyfriend, I told him that in Canada, we have this thing called promise rings, and how I expect a promise ring. And he thought it was stupid, but I was just like really trying to convince him like that it's in our culture in Canada that a guy gets us a promise ring. And there was just this ring that I really wanted, okay? And I was like, it's not a wedding ring, it's a promise ring that he's gonna stay with her forever. And I didn't say forever, but I did tell him that it was a thing. At first he told me no, but eventually he surprised me with it and actually gave me what I want. So the culture trick sometimes works. Okay, so far I did level 2 and 3. Look, these are basics. If you don't know them, it's okay, but these are things that you should already know by now. It's 101. But yeah, things are gonna get a lot more intense. Like, I still have some basics to kind of like push out there, and then I want to start talking about more of the intense stuff, where it's talking about more like marriages, prenups, what to add into the prenup, and how to get the prenup to be thrown out so you can get all the money. But the only issue I have with that video right now is I don't want it to be public, and I don't want it to be exposed. So I need to find a way out of keeping it private and deciding who gets to see it and who doesn't. It's definitely not going to be on YouTube for sure. Otherwise, I might end up making all men not want to, get married. But I just think it's cute that they think that prenups will save them. I also think it's funny how women think that prenups will not save them. So yeah, that's a video that needs to be done. I'll definitely talk about getting a man to invest more into the house thing and everything. Everything's going to be pushed out there. I just need to actually get a lot of things out. But yeah, so far, listen, thank you so much for listening. Um, if there's anything that you think I need to work on, things that you wish I would add, definitely let me know. And yeah, love you all.